This video may feel a bit outdated, and you may have heard this statement for the past few years, but I'll be talking about the one anime that has always been on the top of the My Anime List website, and whatever anime does pass it comes crashing back down only a few weeks later. I'm talking about Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Wait, what? Second? What's first? Frieren? Frieren. It's been out for a few months. Alright, let me see. During their decade-long quest to defeat the Demon King, the members of the hero party, Himmel himself, the priest Heiter and dwarf Eisen, and elf mage Frieren forged bonds for adventures and battles, creating unforgivable precious memories for most of them. Alright, let me just watch this quickly. I see now why this anime is up here. This show is sick. When I first got into Frieren Beyond Journey's End, it did not reach my expectations, but it went completely beyond them. It was somewhat a surprise. I heard many positive things coming from this show before watching, but I also heard the same thing with a few other shows that once took the #1 spot. I remember when Oshi no Ko first released, it also overthrew Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, taking the #1 spot just from the first episode alone, also coming from the same writer that wrote Lover's War, which I was extremely into at the time, and it is also my first video. I thought Oshi no Ko would be a series I'd enjoy just as much, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I would have hoped. My expectations were way too high, as so many were praising this anime, but it just didn't hit what I was looking for. It didn't even come close, and I feared that Frieren would have been the same, and I'm so glad it wasn't. Frieren Beyond Journey's End excels at so much. It's an anime that I've been looking for a while. The amount of stuff that Frieren does right compared to the very few flaws it has is outstanding. The concept is so endearing. It starts out with the 4 legendary heroes, Himmel the hero, Heiter the priest, Eisen the warrior, and Frieren the mage, as they come back from their 10-year journey of defeating the Demon King. Yeah, this story starts out at the very end of the hero's epic journey to save the world, where the threat has been dealt with. And it makes sense on why the title is called the way it is, Beyond Journey's End. It's a very interesting idea, where now we see what the heroes get up to now that the world has been saved. I guess the best example I could give is if you think of a film like Lord of the Rings, and it starts out right when they are done with their adventure of destroying the ring or whatnot. Or another example that I heard from somewhere, where it's like when you finish the main objective in a video game, now with the main accomplishment behind you, you now just go around to do all the side quests and such. The idea really got me engrossed into everything. It feels like a breath of fresh air. There is no massive danger that is against them, where it's life or death, where the whole world could be destroyed if not taken care of in time. I really enjoyed the direction this story took, by still making it so entertaining and refreshing. There are so many smart concepts this story uses to its advantage, such as the lifespan of the characters. Himmel is just a human, so his lifespan, well, is obvious, that of a human's. Same with Heiter, though I think his lifespan is slightly longer than the average human, due to him being a priest having God's divine protection, despite how much he drinks, but I don't know, I could be making stuff up. Then you have Eisen the dwarf, which can live up to 300 years or so, I believe. And then the elf Frieren, which is thousands of years old. This one thing alone makes up so much of the story, and the way the characters think. Frieren, being as old as she is, perceives life much differently than humans such as Himmel. To Frieren, their 10-year journey felt much shorter to her. It didn't even take up 1/100th of her life, but that's an entire decade, more than 1/10 of a human's life, all spent on a single quest. The thoughts of a human and an elf can be very different. It shows that Frieren has a lot of weakness in understanding others. Her time with the party of heroes felt like only a brief month or so, not years. Also, don't worry if this isn't too much of a spoiler, because it happens in the first episode, which makes sense for the series, but as the years go by, Himmel got much older and eventually passed. Frieren began to understand that she never fully appreciated the time she had with the party, from how much shorter their lives were compared to hers, and she regrets not spending her time to get to know and understand the people she was with all that time. As it goes on from there, you see as Frieren attempts to change the way she sees the people around her, and to also help with small little deeds. Sure, she doesn't understand some deeper meanings to things, but it's quite wholesome to see her try. She does small things to help out villagers she comes across along her travels. She would help with cleaning up statues of heroes or get rid of debris at a seashore, and oftentimes gets very little payments in return, but she's mostly doing it for herself, while she slowly recognizes how much the party of heroes meant to her, and the deeper feelings she wouldn't have understood before. The flashbacks we see of Frieren's long journey with the heroes are incorporated into the story in such a smart way, because even though Himmel died at the very first episode, he still enhances the story a lot. Yet it's not just him, it's the same with Heiter and Eisen. The constant flashbacks we get are mostly Frieren looking back on those past memories, becoming more aware on how humans would think, especially some of the meaningful stuff her team would say back then, such as when she overslept. I can't blame her, I very much do the same, but Himmel and the others were upset that she didn't attend the beautiful clear morning sunrise with them, and the dummy that Frieren is, didn't think much of it, because it's just a sunrise, and nothing would have changed if she was there anyway. But then much later on, she then got why it was so meaningful for her to be there that day, since it wasn't just about seeing a sunrise, but seeing the enjoyment in others that makes you smile, creating memories together, and that's one example out of many. You see Frieren change her perspective on life throughout, and you see her grow from the long 10-year journey that ended 80 or so years ago, while she then journeys on to her next destination, Aureole, or as some like to call it, heaven. Frieren's character is so lovable. She may be a world-known powerful mage that once defeated the Demon King, yet she never shows pride for it. She seems to have more interest in her little hobbies of collecting grimoires, and more about the grimoires that don't contain an extremely powerful spell, but more of ones that can easily clean rust, or one that can turn grapes really sour, and her favourite one is to be able to cast a beautiful field of flowers right on the spot. She prefers the ones she finds a lot more fun using, rather than the ones most mages would die for, such as ones for combat to give them an upper hand when it comes to their enemies. Yet Frieren doesn't care as much for the flashy moves, but sticks to the basics and masters those. And is all that she teaches Fern, a girl she agreed to take on as an apprentice. You see her strength in her ability, and adapts to what Frieren taught her, the further you get in. There is also Stark, a past student that was once taught by the legendary warrior Eisen, that travels with them too. He was a bit of a coward at first, but regardless of that, he actually gets stuff done, and his teachings from Eisen show that. There is too much that I love about everything. Frieren got me so excited for every episode. It's a series where I'd say there is no distinct episode that is much better than the rest of them. They all mix together perfectly for a consistent and entertaining story. Some episodes can have some insane action scenes that go off the chain, then others are chill, where a majority of one episode would be Frieren and Fern looking for a specific flower for Himmel's statue, or Fern being sick, where Frieren and Stark go out on a short adventure to look for a specific type of mushroom to cure her disease. These episodes are just as good as the action heavy ones. They both have their times to shine and do it in good quantities. They don't overstay their welcome, unlike some animes I know, where the action is the main driving force, but then everything else is kind of bland. Frieren Beyond Journey's End outdoes so much that it blows me away. The entire look is another main aspect that I love. The show is so beautiful, it makes my eyes happy looking at how gorgeous it all is. The colours are so vibrant, with many of the characters having a distinct colour to them, then especially the scenery, with a warm pleasing feel, and my lord is the animation in a league of its own. It goes far and beyond to create something special. They did not need to go this insane on the animation, it's absurd, but that's what makes it special. It only makes me appreciate this entire series even more, and I've probably showed you some examples of some scenes right now that blew my mind, but the ones that blew my mind the most is this.
We may have escaped the demons, but they're still out there plotting somewhere.
Mr. Stark.
This is some overly detailed animation for putting on a jacket. I love it. Also, the music has a real sense of adventure. They can sound calming, wondrous, sad, action-packed. It's got it all. I've probably played a few in the background. They're just great. Frieren Beyond Journey's End is an anime I want more of, and I wish I could find animes that are similar, but I feel like that may be impossible. Frieren stands out from a lot of other fantasy animes out there. I don't have the best knowledge of fantasy anime, but the ones I've seen have just been some isekai garbage stuff, which some aren't awful, but when I try to compare them to stuff such as Frieren, it just makes me more fond of Frieren as a whole. Frieren is so unique that I oblige that everyone ever should watch it. Maybe I'm asking a little too much, but to the people that I've told before, you know who you are. From the overwhelmingly positive scores Frieren is getting, it makes me question, do I think it's better than Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood? And the answer to that is I don't know. The difference between these two, well, there are a lot of differences actually, but an important one is Fullmetal is over, and I don't know when Frieren may end, but it sure is a strong competitor. But for now, I'll leave it as just I don't know. But there is one strong similarity that definitely shows why these anime are overthrowing all others, and that's because both main characters carry a suitcase around wherever they go. Well, point is, Frieren is good, so go and watch it.